The new email I sent you for
Yes, I
the
did.
updated topics? Cool.
2 minutes until showtime.
Hello, everybody. Welcome into a Thursday edition of the Computer America Show, and we got a great show planned for you tonight. In our Google Hangouts, our live video stream being brought to you by Otherworld Computing, and Nate Evans, managing editor of Popzara magazine, is here with us for both hours. We're going to be talking about the new Amazon Fire Phone. We're going to be talking about the new rumors for the Apple iWatch, some new rumors. YouTube. We got a lot of topics we're going to be talking about tonight, so sit back, relax, enjoy the show. We'll be starting in about 1.5 minutes. And hopefully we'll have a picture of Charles that makes sense, rather than a crooked picture of a wall. Yeah.
Does anybody else recognize what this poster is?
No.
Nate, your turn. Do you know?
Oh my goodness. No, but it looks like science fiction.
Yeah.
It is science fiction.
BG.
1 minute until showtime.
That's your hint. BG.
When you look at things like that, it's either science fiction or it's Japan.
That was really terrifying, Charles.
What's the matter, Craig? Does this picture bother you?
A lot closer than I ever want to be.
Look like the Blair Witch Project.
Giant nostrils.
You just need to start running away and crying.
Godzilla.
It's coming after me.
Hold on. I have to close the door.
I just want to go home, man.
I never thought those movies were scary. Every time you see a bunch of movies about teenagers going into the woods they know are dangerous, and they get attacked by dangerous people.
No,
Your queue will go live in 5 seconds. 4,
I don't think that's scary. I think that's funny.
1.
Broadcasting live, it's America's longest-running national radio talk show on computers, Computer America, hosted by national columnist Craig Crossman. Look for Craig's weekly column in your favorite newspaper. This show is being beamed nationwide at ComputerAmerica.com. Keep it here for technology news, computer products, guest interviews, and your phone calls. You're listening to Computer America.
Hello, and welcome into the Computer America Show. It's the nation's longest-running, nationally syndicated radio talk show on computers. Computer America is heard around the world and coast to coast. And I'm your host, Craig Crossman.
I'm ready for my close-up, Mr. DeMille. And I am your co-host, playing with his camera, certified ethical hacker, Charles Tendell.
I think with that giant eyeball is my co-host.
And that, ladies and gentlemen, is my wireless Logitech broadcaster mic, or not microphone, camera.
Yes.
You know, I get to play with it and move it around and do funny things. So, like, watch this. This is cool. Watch this. Whee! Does it make you dizzy? Does it make you dizzy?
Could be.
No. What about now?
Yeah, so it's a Thursday edition of Computer America, and of course, we're back to our normal kookiness. Last night, we were having technical difficulties. I had lost my internet for about 5 hours.
And I screwed around and ate McDonald's.
Yeah, and what happened was basically we lost one of the nodes went down in our area, so we had an area meltdown. They finally brought it up, and then what we neglected to find out was that although my download speeds was 103 megabits per second, which was glorious, that was fine, my upload speed was like under 1 megabit per second. It was like 0.9 or something terrible. You know, it should be at least 5 to 6 megabits per second. And so because of the slow upload, it was having some really difficult times. And after contacting Charter Communications, they said, oh, yes, what we need to do is that we need to reinitialize your modem and get a new IP address in there. So they went ahead and did that. And when that happened, everything worked perfectly. So looks like...
Craig, I'm walking through your house right now, Craig.
I see that. Okay. So... So now they've made some changes in Google Hangouts. When you click on the screen now, it's no longer blue; it's white. Go figure that. And now my video is 16:9 aspect ratio, but Charles and and Nathan's appears as squares. I guess it's just little fine-tuning things that they want to do, on Google Hangouts. I guess they're improvements. A lot of people coming into the chat room. Here's what you need to do. We're going to be talking about all kinds of things tonight, and if you want to contact us, you can. I'll tell you how to do that in a moment, but let me introduce my guest, Nate Evans, with Popzara magazine. And Nate, welcome into Computer America. How the heck are you?
Hey, Craig. Hey, Charles. Good to be back. I know it's been a long time. It's been months and months.
Yeah.
It's been like 48 hours, Nate.
It's all a blur.
Yeah. Well, as I was saying, if you want to get in touch with us, you can by calling us at 347-884-8881. 347-884-8881. We'll get you on and get you through. Email live, L-I-V-E, at computeramerica.com. You can also join us in our live interactive add-on chat room from our homepage at computeramerica.com. Just click on the first pull-down menu. You'll see it says chat room/video. Or you can click on the button on our homepage. Either way will work. And it'll ask you for a username, which is the name you'll be known by when you go into the chat room. Click the sign-in button in your Java-enabled browser on a Windows machine, Mac, Linux. They all work. Will move you into the chat room. You can also, sharing that same page, is our live Computer America video streaming page. And that's brought to you by Other World Computing. Quality products, expert support since 1988, now celebrating their 25th anniversary. Visit them at www.macsales.com. And we told you a couple about some of the hidden Easter eggs and things that where you can get really good deals at macsales.com. Anything you order over $49, you get free shipping. And it's a great site, especially if you're shopping for Mac stuff or Apple stuff. Solid-state drives, memory, legacy memory, you name it. They have it all at the best prices. Visit them at macsales, macsales.com. So, yes, I think that's taken though by GoDaddy. But
well, you're just disconnected now, Craig.
I had Intel on last night. You know what I forgot to do?
What? Dum. Dun, 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 dun.
I don't know why I keep forgetting to play that. Anyway.
I think it's broken. It's not my fault.
So, well, next month. Anyhow, so what was I talking about? Oh yeah, so we're going to be kind of all over the road. A couple of interesting news announcements today. We're going to be talking about more leakage from Apple. Is that right?
Sounds like a personal problem.
More rumors from Apple on their iWatch. I think we can kind of lead with this because now I don't know if Nate, did you see my new watch that I got that I finally because I've been going without a watch for quite some time and because I flushed mine down the toilet. I still can't believe I said stupid like that. But I have a watch here that I actually had for quite some time and I had forgotten about it, and so I'm wearing this until did you see it? Did I show it to you, Nate?
No, I haven't seen it.
All right, I'll show you. Hold it. I have to move my microphone, and then I'll show it to you here. Okay. Can you see that?
Bling bling.
Yeah. Okay. So that's my watch. It actually has an analog and a digital display on it. I don't know if you can see it because it's the lighting. But anyway, so that's what I'm wearing until I get a digital watch. See, right now it's the Moto 360. It really is a contender. But today, some more news leaked out, and now it's rumored that the iWatch is actually going to be square, but not quite square. And also, they're going to be introducing, or at least kickstarting, wireless charging for their iWatch. According to this report, and let me just read it because it's very short, it says the latest iWatch reports have pegged down more specs for the upcoming Apple smartwatch. The watch is reported to be starting production in July, with the launch set for October, which is right about when we expect to see the iPhone 6. I would guess they're going to be launched together. Quanta Computer of Taiwan is said to be the primary manufacturer for the Apple wearable, accounting for 70% of the final assembly of an anticipated 50 million units. That's a lot of iWatches, by the way. This is according to Reuters. Apple will introduce a smartwatch with a display that likely measures 2.5 inches diagonally and is slightly rectangular, one of the sources said. The source added that the watch face will protrude slightly from the band, creating an arch shape, and will feature a touch interface and wireless charging capabilities. Now, under that curving face is rumored to be a curved OLED panel from LG Display. Additionally, the iWatch is reported to be capable of monitoring the wearer's pulse using sensors from a Singaporean manufacturer Heptagon. Charging could be accomplished wirelessly, which is a first for Apple. We're still several months out from when we expect to finally see the iWatch unveiled on stage, but that doesn't mean we can't muse a little bit like we're doing here on the show. So there, and then we have a picture of it. And of course, I guess these are still concept photos of this product. But it's still, I think it's a nice looking watch. What do you think, Charles? Okay. What do you think, Nate? What do you think?
Well, we talked about the iWatch before. In fact, I think we talked about it the first time I was ever on the show. I remain healthily skeptical. But the only thing that gives me pause is that you mentioned the wireless charging.
Yeah.
Now, people who follow this, there was also an announcement last week that Starbucks was going to start putting wireless charge stations. And that's the only piece of information that makes me a little hopeful that this might be real. Starbucks and Apple, or specifically iTunes, have had a very good relationship. If you've ever walked into a Starbucks before with an iPhone, they work well together. And if Starbucks is gearing wireless charging, and the rumor that the iWatch may use it, it seems like a good synergistic sort of tie-in to me. As far as everything else, it's all up in the air. Again, I hate to say it, but I'll believe it when I see it.
Yep.
Skeptical.
Yeah, well, I have to be. I know, especially, 5 years ago, Apple's security was tighter than anything you can imagine, but today they're leakier than Noah's Ark. So you never know. You never know. But when I hear reports, I want to see, like, for example, we hear about the iPhone 6. Now, the leaks have been pretty consistent the last couple iterations, and all the signs point to there not being one iPhone 6, but two. A larger, 4.7 or 4.5, and a massive 5 point whatever inch. And we've seen pictures of diagrams for those, and part of the reason for that is because Apple has to give schematics to Chinese companies so they can start producing accessories. When it comes to the iWatch, we haven't seen any type of schematics or any type of real-world leaks yet, and that's the part that makes me a little skeptical. Your watch, Craig, the Moto 360.
Yeah.
For the most part, what we've seen of that watch are renders. We haven't even seen a real watch yet. We've seen computer renders. As with anything, especially from a company like Motorola, which is doing pretty badly right now. They're closing down some of their manufacturing facilities in Texas, and as opposed to Apple, who doesn't release a product unless they know it's going to be successful. Again, like I told Charles, I'll believe it when I see it.
Yep.
I hope it's true if they get it right, but I hope it's false if they don't. So I'm right in the middle.
Well, honestly, I am like this. One, I really pray that this is not the iWatch.
Why do you pray?
Really, that looks like crap compared to the Moto 360. And matter of fact, here, watch. I will pull up the screen. Let me find the right one.
Mhm.
I don't want to display that on the air. That's definitely not smart. Let's see.
We know.
Your
Charles, while you're looking it up, there's been a lot of this activity lately where people who are design students have been designing fake prototypes that have been passed off as the real thing. And the reason they're doing this is because they want to attract attention to get hired at Apple. And almost universally, the designs have been false.
No, actually, Motorola, what they did was they put out an open, and this comes from their official Google Plus page and everything else. They put out an open call for designers and developers to put out, they gave you the basic platform, like they're showing you that it is going to be a circle interface and it is going to look one certain way. Mm-hmm. But how do you want the graphical user interface to actually look is what they put out. And here we go, the 10 best designs for the Motorola 360. And there we go. Let me put this one up here. And I will show you between this guy, yeah, that's beautiful. Okay, that is absolutely gorgeous. If that is actually, and that's the, I think that's not the number. Well, no, that's currently the number one. Then there's the two,
I like
and there's
that.
the three. So these are, and if you notice the trend here is as Motorola gave, it's going to be this kind of band with this kind of face, and looking at that, giving that as a platform is what their stipulations were behind it, and it's gorgeous. It is absolutely gorgeous. Now let's look at. Hold on, let's get
Well,
past this
why
one.
can't wait? So why can't they make it so all those faces are available? I mean, it's just software, right? Why can't you just have you download all of them?
You could. I mean, it's probably going to allow you to do a lot of different things. Let's see. There's the Mac rumors.
I think with a lot of the Android-powered watches, it's going to be a lot about providing real estate. I know with a lot of like with Samsung Galaxy products, a lot of companies they advertise on the user interface.
Yeah,
And
this is what they're saying it might look like.
What, that?
No.
Yeah, iWatch?
The iWatch. Where's the link that you sent me that had the iWatch in it?
That was ugly. That was
Yeah.
very ugly.
Oh, here's the one that Craig sent me.
Yeah,
This is what they're saying might be the iWatch. That's also fugly. Just saying. That compared to that.
That looks like an expensive mechanical upscale, multi-$1,000 watch that you would see. You know what I'm saying?
This guy
Yeah, this guy.
versus that guy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Nate, if you had to choose, which would it be? That one or that one?
Neither. When it comes to it, though, I think that that iWatch picture you're showing, I think nothing could be further from the truth. I can't imagine Apple putting that out in the store.
I can't either.
Just can't.
I cannot
can't.
imagine. It is completely fugly. It is not at all. That is not a pretty watch. That Apple would kill themselves, and Tim Cook would get fired.
Well,
if
here's
allowed
why,
something
though.
like that to
Because
come to market.
they've actually released a watch before. No one remembers
Really?
that. Yeah, one of the shuffles was actually one of the iPod shuffles, or was it either the Nano or the Shuffle actually had a watch accessory that you could click in,
Yeah.
and it had a modified watch, a watch-like interface.
Yeah.
And that yeah, it was a band. And the reason they do is because people bought the Nanos in droves for jogging. People love to jog with them. And don't forget, the iPods also had that Nike Fuel Band thing in it, where it could measure your heart rate and everything years ago. So
Now,
yeah, and,
tell me why. None of those watches that we just saw from the Moto that did not impress you, because I thought they were beautiful.
For the Apple, for the iWatch.
No, for the Moto 360. You asked them.
oh, the Moto 360 I think looks attractive. But I think it's attractive because it looks like a real watch.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think it looks like a Sennheiser. I think it looks like an expensive product.
Yeah, it looks like an expensive luxury, several,
But,
$10,000 for a watch like that.
But it's skeuomorphism. I mean, is it going to be metallic? Is it going to be brushed aluminum, or is it going to be plastic, or is it? We don't know. There's so many things that we don't know, and I just don't know. Like I said, I'm not qualified to make that opinion on style. Trust me, but the iWatch thing that Charles showed, that's disgusting. It was horrible. It's really bad.
Disgusting? Okay.
Disgusting.
It's horrible.
Ashamed of themselves. No, it's clearly someone who doesn't understand design showing something off, and we've seen things like this before.
Well, Johnny Ive, though, is the guy who's designing this stuff, right? He certainly is he's Apple's premier designer. And he's the one who designed all the winning.
I don't think he designed that.
Do you think Johnny
No.
Ives? Wait a minute,
I think this is.
You think Johnny Ives designed the iWatch? So that you think he went to him?
I believe it would fall under his jurisprudence. I think that's his thing, and he's not just designing for Apple. There was a camera. What was that camera that came out? They did a one-off camera for a different company that was designed by Johnny Ives for some charity. I think you'll have to look it up, but it looks like a Johnny Ive product, which in terms looks like a German neo design. It's there. He makes attractive stuff, but he's minimalist. So when I see the iWatch, I don't think it's going to have a slider to turn on and off. I don't think it's going to have that. I think it's going to tie into iOS 8. It's going to, if there is a watch, it's going to tie into Yosemite operating system, and it's going to be very easy to use. And I look at these iWatch modifications that people think they make, and they're all thinking in terms of iOS. They're not thinking in terms of a modified iOS. And so, when I see a slider and I see that ugly design, I can't imagine Apple would even think like that.
Well, that's
I mean,
the old slider too. It's not even the current
yeah,
slider. 7. Uh, it, um, you know, it just it's interesting that you say that, because do you think maybe Apple is between a rock and a hard place, because no matter what they're going to come up with, people are going to say, "Oh, I was expecting something else or something better," no matter how good it's going to be.
I do. I think they're in a lose-lose situation when it comes to the tech press. Whether it's fawning or whether it's dismissive, when it comes to how this machine or how this device is going to be portrayed,
Mhm.
there's going to be people who are going to be disappointed. And I remember watching the debut of the iPad, and I remember the tremendous dismissal by the entire tech community that the iPad was a terrible mistake. It was a big iPod Touch. It was horrible. The news was unprecedentedly bad.
Really?
And then it became the best-selling device, that non-cellular device they've ever done. It revolutionized the
Ever.
entire computer world. The
Yep.
tech industry, with all due respect to Charles and anybody listening, are not good stewards of the industry. They're not. They see things in terms of what's in front of them. They don't see things in terms of what's beyond them. It's because they're tech people. They deal in binary. They deal in, well, here's
Well,
the computer program. How do I deal with it? They don't. People
well,
like Johnny Ives, he's a designer. These are people who are designers first and not tech people.
how did the tech community respond to when Steve Jobs introduced the first iPhone? What was their reaction? I
Well,
think
if
it was extremely positive.
depends who you listen to. The most famous example was his competitor, Steve Ballmer, and I bring this up for a reason. There's a video of him saying the iPhone is a mistake, it's going to fail, that he's not worried about it, and that video is very popular. When it comes to the regular tech community, you have to understand, in 2006, 2007, there was no Android market. There was no
Yep. They were
Apple
the only ones.
ecosystem. They hadn't created this fanboy dichotomy yet. It was all new. I mean, the dominant smartphone at the time was BlackBerry.
Right.
And so our expectations were low. And when Apple was coming out with this, everyone knew a phone was coming. But what nobody anticipated, nobody, including Apple, was the App Store. It was all, hey, my phone has good clarity. It's AT&T only. It's good everything. And to be fair with you, not to segue too much, but look what happened yesterday. Amazon entered the phone market.
Yeah. Well,
They
we're
entered
going
it.
to talk about that. Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, and so my reaction to the first iPhone is very similar to what Amazon did. It's They don't know how to deal with it. They don't know how to hate. They don't know how to like. Eventually, they accepted it. And what happened since then is when the duplicates like the Android came out and the Windows Phone came out, they settled into their old favoritism. But generally speaking, if you follow Apple news, whether it's fair or not, Apple debuts a product. They claim they say they're disappointed. The stock goes down and the product goes on to break sales records. And this keeps happening. It's almost become, they've almost adopted like a hipster mentality that you have to hate Apple. You have to be dismissive. And to be perfectly fair to Apple, they haven't released a failed product in 10 years. They haven't released anything that's failed. And you imagine if Samsung or Amazon or LG or HTC had that type of pressure. I mean, these companies have released treasure troves of failed products, initiated failed systems, failed phones, failed initiatives. Nobody cares. Nobody cares. It doesn't make headlines. But if Apple doesn't release the Jesus phone or the Jesus watch, it will be disappointing. So I don't know what can satisfy them. Who knows? But watch the news. If they do debut an iWatch, Craig, watch the news, watch the skepticism, see how it's reported. I anticipate cynicism.
And then a wildly successful selling pattern afterwards.
Who knows? I mean, maybe to be perfectly fair, I haven't seen any company, Pebble, Sony. I haven't seen any of the ones we saw at CES. I certainly haven't seen Google demonstrate that there's a need for an iWatch. And the problem is that people may not want an iWatch. When we were talking to Ben last week, he's very typical. Kids today don't wear watches. However, 10 years ago they didn't wear giant headphones. Remember, we thought we had gone past giant headphones. Those were relics from the 60s and 70s. But
And enter Dr. Dre in his
exactly.
stupid Beats headphones.
And now people wear these gigantic headphones that don't make the music any better, but but they want to be seen with them. And if somebody can make an iWatch or a watch that becomes necessary, maybe it'll work. I don't know. It's more of a it's like a regular watch. The only difference between a $5 Walmart watch and a Sennheiser is about $3,000. And if you can make it a must-have accessory, who knows? I do think Apple is probably in a better position than anybody else simply because they have the single largest ecosystem. But if they can do that, that's fine. And to be fair with you, to wrap this up, one last question. Apple hasn't introduced a new product since Steve Jobs died. They haven't introduced anything new. So this would be the first non-Steve Jobs product launch. People are waiting for that. They want to see if Apple needs Steve Jobs or not. And it's a fair question.
Can they get him back?
They can probably try to create an Android, literally. No, there was a funny news story that came out and said Apple needs 5 people to replace Steve Jobs. That's probably a little true because Tim Cook, he's a great product man. I'm sorry, he's a great manufacturing and assembly man, but he's not a Steve Jobs. Nobody was a Steve Jobs except for Steve Jobs. And as much as Jeff Bezos thinks he is, he's not even a Steve Jobs. There was only one Steve Jobs, and he's gone. So I think it's time Apple move on, and we see where they can go with it.
What about Steve Wozniak?
Steve Wozniak's interesting. Steve Wozniak exemplifies everything I told you, is that while there's this intense hatred or cynicism for Apple, there's a deeply profound love for Wozniak because Wozniak was part of the 3 Steves. Steve Jobs, Steve Wozniak, and Steve, who am I talking about? There's a third Steve in there somewhere. Steve Case, I think, for Microsoft. But with Wozniak was a prototypical computer geek. He was very good at the physical stuff. He was no good at assembly stuff. And if you're familiar with the story of Apple, It was Steve Jobs who, let's be honest, took advantage of Wozniak, ripped him off, made him work for peanuts, but he was able to make something. And let's be fair here. Look at Steve Wozniak, look at Steve Jobs from 1980 to 2011. Look at their track careers. Which one was really the essential person? And the idea is that Steve Jobs could go into a room, find the talent, exploit it, and make them work harder than they've ever worked before.
Now, wait. Now, from a business perspective, that is the definition of a good business owner.
Mm-hmm.
I know where my shortcomings are, and I know what technologically, what I am not expert at. I know there are very few things that I'm not an expert. But I will find those people and I will bring them on board, and it's not necessarily an exploit. I will motivate them to do great things, and they will go on and they will do great things. And this is exactly the same thing I tell my employees right now. Look, I want you to be better tomorrow than you are today. How can I help you achieve whatever goal it is for you while achieving mine? And it's just a good way. Now, again, you bring up Jobs and Wozniak. Where is Woz right now?
Wozniak is a pop culture person. He is settled into being the icon, of being the mascot of the tech industry. He's big, he's fat, he has a beard, he's lovable.
He was on Dancing with the Stars.
Oh, was he?
Now, see, here's my thing, though. Here's my thing. Okay, that means Woz is freaking his ambitions were different than Jobs's. Now, you can't say that Jobs exploited him and took his ideas and took his designs and everything else. Woz gave up his percentage in Apple. He gave it up.
Yes, he did.
He let it go for the equivalent of pennies that would have been billions of dollars today. He gave it up. He didn't want to be in there. He didn't want to be there. He didn't want to do it anymore. He didn't believe in whatever the vision was, so on and so forth. And for a time there, Jobs left Apple and he was gone and all that other high-speed stuff, and then came back and resurrected the company to the genius it was today. That was without Wozniak.
Oh,
now,
yes, everything post Apple. What was it? Apple II. I mean, Wozniak wasn't even involved in the Macintosh.
See?
Yeah, I mean, his role in Apple was very limited. I hate to say it, he was Johnny Appleseed.
Yeah,
he was very, very small. Oh, there's your watch. It's very blingy.
Can you see the digital display on my watch? I'm holding it up here so you can see it. You see on the bottom? See
You
it
can
says
see
Thursday.
your screen reflected on the the panels.
You don't see it says Thursday and the 19th on the bottom in gold?
What's the resolution of the screen?
Well, I don't know. Can you? It's an analog screen, but it has that little digital display. Charles, can you see that?
Wait, one.
What? You don't see it?
Oh, look at that!
You can see it.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's Craig Crossman's
Watch.
Sea Watch.
Okay.
Wait, what's the digital
Sea
display
Watch.
you're talking about, though? Hold it back up.
You don't see the digital display? Okay, look right there in the bottom. You see in the third.
Okay.
You-
Touch it with your finger.
19.
Touch it with your finger.
Oh, it's under glass.
You gotta touch it with your finger. I can't see it. Touch
can't-
it with your finger. Touch it. A little more. Okay, to the left. To the right. Damn, I was trying to see how long I could command him.
Yes. But you know what, Charles? Hey, to finish the topic real
Yes,
quick.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I don't think exploit is a bad word. When you talk about Jobs coming back to Apple, you know, Steve Jobs had nothing to do with hiring Johnny Ives. Johnny Ives was working at Apple before Steve Jobs' return. In fact, he was toiling as a mid-level engineer. He could not get his ideas across. He was not responsible. He literally was nobody. And when Jobs came back and did an assessment, Johnny Ives sought him out. Steve Jobs gave him a meeting, and that's when their partnership began, and that's where the iMac came from. You know, so Apple had this talent, but they couldn't see it. And that's Jobs' gift. That was his biggest gift, is finding the talent of people that were there, exploiting it, using it to the best, and promoting good people. And I think for people who don't know anything about management or design, they look at that as a bad relationship. They don't look at that as a productive relationship, but it was.
All right. Well, I'll tell you what. We're at the bottom of the hour, and we're going to continue on talking about different things. We're going to talk about the new Amazon Fire phone that was just released yesterday. We're also going to talk about YouTube. They've got something new in the works. So we've got a number of topics we're going to be talking about. This is the Computer America Show on the Blog Talk Radio Network, on the Boost Radio Network, on the IRN Radio Network. We'll be right back.
Hey everyone, have you heard about the No Hair Removal device that's sweeping the globe? If you want to go weeks without shaving and get smooth, professional quality results, here's our favorite host, Cheryl, for No Hair Removal.
Thanks. Hey gals, I love talking about my No. It's this cute little hair removal system that you can take with you and use almost anywhere at home or on the road. No more expensive in-office treatments, painful waxing, and no more wasting your valuable time. Got unwanted facial hair? No has patented thermocon technology that works on all hair and skin colors, so it's perfect for using on all body parts. And now you can take advantage of this incredible risk-free trial. Get the No, the facial kit, a travel case, and a $100 discount shopping card, and you don't risk a penny to try it. Try the incredible No hair completely risk-free. Call 1-800-953-5415. That's 800-953-5415. 800-953-5415.
Looking for a best friend? Brother Wolf Animal Rescue has your best friend waiting just for you. Their mission is to protect and enhance the lives of companion animals and the people who love them. Their no-kill rescue shelter is open year-round, making it easy for people to adopt their best new friend. This year, Brother Wolf will find homes for over 2,400 orphan dogs, puppies, cats, and kittens. All have ended up as an orphan through no fault of their own. Brother Wolf has created a safe, nurturing environment where these special animals can heal emotionally and physically until they find a lifelong home. Their life-saving transport program brings dogs and puppies from overcrowded shelters in the south to rescues in the north where homes are easier to find. Brother Wolf Animal Rescue is a 501c3 organization. To learn more about their life-saving work and to make a donation, visit their website at www.bwar.org. That's www.bwar.org. Help to realize Brother Wolf's vision when no animal is euthanized for lack of a home.
Who's a good boy?
Hi, this is Marty Winston for Computer America with a News Tips Bulletin review of the Linmar Undead Power Helix 11 amp hour power puck. You could easily get excited about the 11,000 milliamp hour rating of the lithium polymer battery in the Linmar Undead Power Helix. But for us, its most exciting thing is, it fully supports a 4.4 amp current draw, 2.4 amps through a tablet port at the same time as 1 amp each through 2 other ports. Sure, that makes it an outstanding travel companion, but it also makes it a very clever addition to a car's center console, where it can keep gaining charge whenever the car's running.
What just happened there?
With you. Bottom line, of all the power pucks we've seen so far, the most powerful proposition is in the Undead Power Helix from Lenmar. This is Marty Winston, Tips Bulletin for Computer America.
Welcome back to the Computer America Show. I am sitting in for Craig Crossman, who has smiled himself to death and is using his Jedi mind trick to like force choke me.
Yeah, that at McDonald's.
Oh God, no!
I see.
Side note to everybody. Side note to everyone out there. Everybody out there on the planet, you know, you are listening to the Computer America Show, and if you want to get involved in the conversation, you want to talk to me, you want to talk to Nate, you want to talk to this other guy over here down, where is it? Right here? There we go, right there. You know, he's making a goofy face. We've just picked him up on the street last week, so we don't know who he really is. But give us a call, 347-884-8881. The number again, 347-884-8881 will get you on or get you through. Or shoot us an email to live@computeramerica.com or join us over at computeramerica.com in our live interactive add-on chat room, immediately above which you can see me, because I'm talking. Mm-hmm. You can see Craig, or whoever this gentleman is here with the evil grin on his face, muhaha. And you can see Nate Evans' avatar, who is I don't even know what Nate's superhero power is.
Who is that?
You can do it. I think he told us that's a custom one he had made.
I thought it was the Tick.
Boom! You want to get sued? No, it's with Popzara we have original artists doing original avatars because who wants to look at our ugly faces? So, but that's actually exactly how I look. I'm anatomically wildly incorrect.
I need to get you to do one for me. Like I want to do like Superman style, but do it black man. That's what I want to do. And you want
to be Shaq?
Shaq?
No, Shrek.
Shrek. No, I want one where I'm like holding a computer and I'm being like powerful. That's my power right there, to shut off your internet. You know? Mm-hmm. But if you are watching the live video stream, it is brought to you by our friends over at Otherworld Computing. Great stuff from great people. You can get good deals from your legacy Macs all the way up to your most modern ones. And if you listen to Craig and give his big spiel about the Easter eggs on the website, you can get ridiculous deals. Like you can get an external hard drive enclosure for like $1.75. You should probably check that one out over at macsales.com. Tell them that Craig or I sent you. You should probably tell them that I sent you because I'm cooler. And, we'll see what happens. And tell OWC Larry we said hi. And, good stuff, good people, macsales.com.
So I think we pretty much finished up with the iWatch at this point. And
I watched that thing just sail away.
I want to talk about the Fire Phone from Amazon. I actually watched the video at the Amazon website, and I have to say that the first part of it I found to be kind of cool, and that's that dynamic perspective. They've got 4 custom designed sensors, one in each corner of the phone, that allows you to do some pretty, now let's put it this way, the iPhone has the ability when you tilt it, the things behind it move, so you get like a 3D kind of effect to it. But the Amazon phone with this dynamic perspective, I think, has more depth to it, at least from what I can see. When you rotate the phone or move the phone, whatever you're looking at that particular, or like the lock screen they have, one for use an example. I mean, you really see it shifting, quite pronounced. Now, for a lock screen, this is not really important. I mean, it's nice. It doesn't really have a function, but there are things where the dynamic perspective will have a function. If you're looking at a map, for example, you actually get a 3D perspective. You can look at the map from different angles, which I thought was kind of interesting. What's your thoughts on that?
Gimmick.
Okay, that's gimmick on Charles' lead. Nate?
Well, I don't know. I got two opinions on it. When you mentioned the iPhone, what the iPhone does is called parallax scrolling, and they use it through the gyroscopes in the phone to sort
Right.
of shift your perspective. I
Right.
think what a lot of people expected, and a lot of people assume that the Kindle Fire or the Kindle, whatever it's called, the Fire Phone does,
Mhm.
they think it does what the Nintendo 3DS does, which is called auto stereoscopy.
Yeah.
It doesn't. Like you said, it does advanced head tracking. The phone is actually not 3D. It's not a 3D phone. It doesn't try to simulate
No.
3D. It head tracks. And I agree with Charles. I think it's a gimmick. The question is, if the gimmick's useful, can it be done? And and I think we're so used to seeing gimmicks from Samsung because Samsung tried something similar with the Galaxy S4. They had the eye tracking thing. It didn't work. It was supposed to follow your eyes. It didn't work. But this is not Samsung. This is Amazon. Amazon, I would put somewhere between Samsung and Apple when it comes to useful gimmicks. Like, for example, when they brought out their Kindle Fire tablets, they did not have all the whiz bang of Android tablets, but they had enough, and they were successful up to a point. We don't know how successful. They won't release sales. But Craig, to your answer, how does it look? I saw on the video. I haven't experienced it myself. They showed it using maps. They showed it this. It must be said that it's not just for tracking eyes, but it's supposed to be used for gesture movements. And I've read some reports that say a lot of the tracking stuff works even if your eyes aren't focused. So they're wondering how much of this effect is actually gyroscopic, like Apple's phones. It could be. It we don't know yet. It's a presentation. It's supposed to work on the stage. So we'll see.
All I can say with this is like I've looked at the videos, I've seen what's on it, and we've got a bunch of we've got a bunch of them inbound so that we can test them and do all that high speed stuff because it's built on Android, right? So we're thinking that you'll still be able to do a lot of the Android-ish things that you're used to doing on maybe your Nexus device. Maybe hopefully they fine tuned it to be more with the hardware so that it's not they can things like that work. Now what's interesting with the Fire Phone and why I think things like this immersive whatever they are calling it thing is going to work better is it works with 4 cameras that are built into the front, so you get 4 front facing cameras. Weird, but okay. And then it works in conjunction with the gyroscope in the phone or is it a gyro? Yeah, with the gyro in the phone, so that all together lets you roll through things, but it's not going to it's completely useless. Like, what are you going to use that for in the real world other than having a video game or having a picture or having a defined app or something that you can like tilt and zoom? Now if you're telling me that what Amazon is about to do is they're about to start taking 3D photos or real world photos of products and you're about to be able to pick it up basically in your hand and rotate it around and look at the product and look at the bottom of the product and the sides and roll it around and all that other stuff, that might be cool. But from everything that I've seen on it so far, it's just, there are a couple of programs. It lets you, they even made their own Google Maps variant where now you have that same 3D panning feature where you can like look at, buildings as they look on a map, which is okay. I will probably never use that.
You can use it for one-hand operation too. If you're reading something, you just tilt it forward, and it'll scroll up or scroll down. If you tilt it back, it also when you flick the phone to the left or to the right, it'll you can get different menus. So you can basically you use the phone with a one-hand operation, which is kind of cool, I thought.
Well, you can use most cell phones with one hand. They the where I agree with Charles on that one is that as someone who's grown up with if you've ever used a Nintendo Wii console, you'll know that using gestures to approximate what used to be a simple button press doesn't always work. And like you said, Charles, I looked at these people, and again, I've actually I've read quite a few reviews of people who've used the phone at their test, and they said to themselves, it looks cool, but they'd rather use their thumb because it's more accurate.
It is.
You're introducing the unpredictability of wrist snaps. It's because people get worn out. They say I don't want to snap my wrist to do this. I don't want to do this. No company, including Nintendo, has ever made gestures work. People always go back to the digital input because it's more accurate. Imagine if you're driving. Imagine if you're driving and you're trying to use this phone. And what happens is if the phone tracks your head, what happens when you glance at the phone and then you glance back at the traffic, or what happens when it changes direction on you because of the way you're tilting the phone. It's not static, or at least it's not supposed to be static. I mean, do you really want the phone changing perspective while you're driving? We don't know yet.
Maybe you shouldn't be using it while you're driving.
But they will.
Well, all right. Now, what about this Firefly technology? Well, basically, you can point it to. You can either use the camera in the phone, the back-facing camera, to take a picture of a magazine or article, and like these little firefly, little dots glowing, start analyzing it.
Again, this brings me straight back to. There are apps already out there that you can use to do this for. So they just added sparkles to an existing app to be able to do this. I mean, remember like CamFind, right? Mm-hmm. CamFind lets you do the exact same thing, and it works ridiculously well. It is impressive, but it's one of those things where I'm just like, you're taking a lot of things that are already out there in the Android world, that are already built out there, and you're putting your own spin on it and giving me all these fun gimmicks that are going to give me the opportunity to get sold more stuff from Amazon.
And that's what it is. Think about it. Apple's phone is to sell hardware and apps. Mm-hmm. Google's phone is to get you searching and revenue. Amazon's phone is to get you buying on Amazon. Yep. To keep you in. It's a phone to get you to buy more stuff. That's what its goal is to make you buy as much stuff as possible.
Yep.
And that's what it's for. And by the way, you're half right about look, Amazon keeps calling this thing an Android phone. It's not an Android phone. It's so deviated from Android. It is. RuPaul is more natural than this phone is Android. This phone, first of all, it doesn't even have the 3 Android buttons. It doesn't have them. They've been removed. So, second of all, it doesn't have compatibility with the Android marketplace.
No, see, wait. See, this is they won't do that. They won't do that at all because
they didn't.
Amazon, okay, but it is at core. It is an Android-based operating system. They say that quite clearly that it is core based on Android. Now, remember when they came out with the Kindle Fire, everybody naturally assumed that we were going to have to use Amazon's App Store, but Amazon quickly reverted and went back to allowing you to use selected apps or their bastardized version of the existing Android App Store. Okay, this is what Amazon does. They will not create a phone because they don't have the app ecosystem. They don't. They will not allow this phone to come out and get consumer accepted, where they're going to be like, oh look, I've only got 5 apps and it's got to be Evernote, Amazon, Kindle.
It does though. Audible. It does have the curated app store, but it's more tightly curated than Apple's app store. It cherry picks which Amazon apps it wants, but Amazon decides. So if you have a library of Google apps from your Android phone, they're not compatible with the Kindle phone, and they're not compatible. In fact, a lot of items that are free on the Google Marketplace, let's just say Angry Birds, cost money on the Amazon store.
Oh dear.
They're curating and copying Apple's method.
They're going to fail with their application portion. The things that are free on an Android phone or free even on an iPhone, for you to now decide, oh, we're going to charge you for that, you're going to lose. Now, I understand what they're trying to do, but the only way this device is going to end up the exact same way that all of our Kindle Fires ended up when we bought them for our girls. One of 2 things are going to happen. I'm going to strip it, root it, and put an actual functional portion of Android on there, probably a vanilla one, Cyanogen mod, shouts out to you guys, or I'm going to send the damn thing back. Done. It doesn't work. Like, you cannot, like Amazon, I see what you're doing. I get what you're doing. You're bringing out a device that you want to be able to capitalize more on the Amazon ecosystem. Got it. However, you cannot take the 2 big dogs on the planet. You're emulating Apple, you're utilizing Android's back end to do things, and now you're going to tell me that the one real thing that made these things all cool was I can go and I can download apps. I can get 50 billion apps. Now you're going to tell me I can only do 10 if it's approved by you. Now, that is a bad idea. Whatever economist told you this might be smart lied to you to keep their job. But it also comes down to the design of the phone. You've got a lot of hardware here, and you're gonna take that hardware and you're gonna limit it to just Amazon. Now, what about people's integration with email or with Google? You know, are they now going to be forced to utilize Amazon's only approved email app, or are we all using Gmail? You know, what's the back end? What are we doing with all of this stuff?
Well, you know what's funny, Charles, and this is exactly what I was talking about with you, Craig, about how they judge these companies very differently. Every story about Apple banning an app, every time Apple allows an app, it's a front page story because it drives the narrative that Apple is curated, it's not open. Okay, I want to be clear. I want to clarify. The argument is that Apple's not open, it's curated, it stifles innovation. However, they have the biggest app store on the planet. They have more development. So despite the narrative that it's closed and foreboding, it still generates the most development. The Apple, for example, with Amazon's marketplace is 10 times more curated, 10 times more locked down. You will not find the Google apps on there. There is no Google Maps. There is no Gmail. There's none of that.
So how do you access your Gmail?
If I get an iPhone, I can download the Kindle app. I can download the Amazon store. I can download Gmail. I can download Google Maps. I can't do that on Apple Store. Yet where are the headlines that Amazon is locked down and restrictive? You won't see it because they do not apply the same shoddy journalism to Amazon that they apply to Apple, and therefore you get a very skewed version of it. I mean, this product, if they held Amazon's product launch to Apple's standards, this thing would be ringing on the headlines as a failure. But they don't, because they judge them very differently, and maybe they should judge them differently. But no, that's why it's not an Android. It's not an Android device. It's a forked Android device. And by forked, I think you could substitute a few letters and get a much more colorful word. But it's misleading to call it Android because with Android you get the impression that you have a catalog of choice of apps, an investment in Google's ecosystem, and that's simply not true. It is not compatible, and it's misleading to call it Android.
Yep.
Are they calling it?
It's not. They're calling it Fire OS.
Yeah, Fire OS 3.5.
If you go to Amazon's website, look it up. They actually still use the word Android on the official website on Amazon.
Yeah, they do say outright it is Android based. It is Android based, and honestly, that was the very first thing that my team saw. Was like, oh, it's Android based. Good, let's get it and root it and see what other stuff they've done in it, because you know that's what's going to happen. The guys over at XDA are going to get it. They're going to suck it down. They're going to be like, oh, look, I tore this out. Here's now an APK for their Firefly or whatever it is. Here's an APK for the super the 3D scroll thing. They're gonna do all of this. You know, there's no way for them to lock it down. If they did, I mean, even still, if they wanted to do something like that, they should have just built it from the ground up. But they took an Android core, and this is where we are.
Yeah, well, it allows them to be as Apple-like as they can without investing in their own operating system, and it would be interesting to see, because I was reading that Microsoft may make their Cortana digital assistant available to Apple and to Google phones, which would be interesting. It's a core feature of Windows, but it may come as an app. It'd be interesting to see if Amazon brought the Firefly feature, because it doesn't require anything more than a rear-facing camera. There's nothing fancy going on there. It's just image recognition. But that would be interesting. It'd be interesting. It would be in Amazon's best interest because they could sell more stuff.
Are you saying that the Cortana is going to be available on an iPhone? That's
the rumor, and it's not unheard of. Microsoft has been increasingly open to Apple and Android products, especially Apple. And it goes without saying, Apple. Apple is like saying the water is wet and rain comes from the sky. Of course, Apple, but Apple and Android is interesting because if they bring Cortana, that's a key function of the Windows Phone, and the Windows Phone hasn't been very successful. In fact, it's quite a big failure, especially on Nokia's part, because Microsoft purchased Nokia in order to gain entry, in the same way that Google purchased Motorola Mobility to gain entry. It was a failed partnership that didn't work with Google. It might turn out to be a failed partnership, because I do know that Nokia is actually producing Android phones now. So it could happen. I mean, it depends. If Microsoft gets ad revenue for Bing from Cortana, then they're losing money by not introducing that technology and allowing people to use Google Now or Siri.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, it's the same way. You know, Google is more than happy to make Google Maps or Gmail for iPhone. They're more than happy. In fact, Google Maps is fantastic on iPhone. It's great. Google Now is fantastic on iPhone. It doesn't matter to Google because they get paid for ad revenue. You know, when Microsoft brought out Office for iPad, untold riches. It was such a wasted opportunity to wait so long. So we'll see what happens, but it would be interesting to see if Amazon follows suit. You know, we'll see. It could be fun.
Yeah.
We can buy more stuff from Amazon.
My biggest issue with Amazon, with Amazon has always been that if you screw around and you search for anything on Amazon, you will be haunted for the rest of your natural internet life by that search term. It will follow you. And it's weird. It's really, really, really weird. Like, I went on Amazon to look up cases for a case that I already had for my iPad, right? Already had the case. I just wanted to look at reviews and what other people thought of it, right? If somehow me searching for it on Amazon translated to me getting that as the intro video for every YouTube video I watched for the next 90 days. And I'm like, really? Way to go, Amazon and Google, for teaming up and like infecting my stuff, you know? But seriously, guys, you know, don't do that. And just imagine, now you've got a phone, right? Now you've got a mobile device. 90% of our searches and our way we find things in the really real world, like, we're out and about, except for you, Nate. I know you don't have a cell phone, right?
Yeah.
I know he was the last to join the smartphone revolution.
I have a track phone which keeps me from being stranded in the desert.
See, so you don't get stranded in the desert, but you can't get contacted by everyone for anything. But
that's a feature to me.
I think that's a feature.
But it's a feature.
I think that's a feature too. I agree. Sometimes I wish my phone didn't work in places. But you go on your phone, you're going to be like, all right, let's find a great restaurant here. Suddenly you're getting Amazon ads for napkins. Come on. Like, I just think it's going to be too much of an invasion of I shouldn't even say privacy, because that's a stupid word nowadays, but I think it's going to be too invasive. I think it's going to be Amazon taking too much advantage of the opportunity to sell me crap I don't need.
I do know that the problem I have with Amazon, Craig, is that in the past they have overstated these gimmicks in a way that turned out to be false. When they debuted their tablet, the Kindle Fire tablet, they talked about a feature for streaming websites. Well, I don't remember what the name of it was, but they were going to Silk browser. Do you remember this? It was supposed to compress, because people forget that Amazon actually runs about half the internet. They really do. They run servers. They power Netflix. They power everything. And so whether it ties into net neutrality or not, I don't know. But they had a feature that was basically stolen from Opera. See, Opera browser years ago decided we're going to bring broadband functionality to the third world by compressing websites and basically displaying images. Therefore, instead of you on a device having to download the whole website, you're downloading a compressed image of it. If you remember Opera browser, that was the big selling point of it. So Amazon decided to do something similar. They were going to compress websites down for the Kindle Fire. Didn't work out. There was no speed jump or anything. And if you remember their Fire TV, their Apple TV clone, if you watch the video, they showed all HBO shows. And most of the footage they showed was Game of Thrones. And then they said, oh, well, it won't have HBO when it comes out. And then they announced a deal with Amazon Prime that they would have HBO, but it wouldn't include Game of Thrones. Their entire presentation featured imagery that wasn't available on the device. So when it comes to eye tracking, when it comes to Firefly, when it comes to tilting, when it comes to all this stuff, I agree with you, Charles. It's all gimmicks until they prove. And Amazon's track record of making gimmicks useful is very, very poor. It's very poor. And they're a great store. But they are a competitor to Google. They are a new competitor to Google in the same way that Amazon is a competitor to Apple. Apple makes most of their money on the iPhone from the App Store. They have untold riches, and people have profited. Google makes all their money from searches and the App Store. Amazon is in between them, and so that Amazon is going to become a rival. I think they need to distinguish themselves. What can they do different from Apple, apart from just giving you an easier way to spend your money? And what can they do different from Google instead of just co-opting terminology like Android? And then where does that leave Microsoft? I don't know. Maybe there's too many cooks. Maybe somebody needs to go. I don't know. But my view is that Apple and Google are going to be pretty safe. Amazon and Microsoft, I don't know. We'll see.
I agree. I honestly, that the field does seem like it's getting saturated, but now, and you touched on something interesting, the net neutrality idea, right? So now we've got the one who is basically hosting all of this information. Does that mean Netflix is going to run much faster on the Amazon phone? You know, because you get to directly connect to them as opposed to going through, you know, whoever else. Like, we're going to have some sort of direct connect there.
You'll be lucky if Netflix even runs on the phone.
That's exactly. You know,
but I'm not joking. I don't know, Craig, if you follow the news, but Amazon's been in trouble. Amazon's been getting a lot of bad press the last couple of weeks because of this thing they have going with Hachette Books.
No,
and have you read about this?
No, I haven't.
It's actually pretty egregious because I deal with a lot of book publishers, so for Popzara, and I talk to these people all the time, and if you remember a few years back, the Department of Justice launched an investigation, an eventual lawsuit against Apple and all these book publishers. They say Apple was guilty of a conspiracy to price change books, and I believe it was Amazon or some derivation, or Amazon lodged the complaint, and they said that these publishers were conspiring with Apple to change book prices, to set book prices. It was an industry model. Mm-hmm. And what happened is the publishers, they all settled with the Department of Justice, but Apple didn't. Apple went to court, and they lost. And they're appealing the decision now. But for those of us who follow, we said, well, what about Amazon? Amazon is a monopoly. They control 90% of the market. Apple didn't control anything in 2010. They controlled zero. And what happened in the last couple of weeks, we turned out that Amazon is doing what we thought they were doing. They're playing dirty politics with this company called Hachette Books. If you read about it, it's pretty egregious, and I wouldn't be surprised if there's a lawsuit. They've removed the buy button from their books.
Nate, break.
Yeah, we're gonna take a break.
Yay!
When we come back, we're gonna talk about YouTube paid music subscription. Chelsea Handler signs with Netflix for the first streaming-only talk show, and the Supreme Court rules software patents can't cover abstract ideas. These stories and more are up for conversation next. This is the Computer America Show. We'll be right back. Stay with us.
Broadcasting live. It's the only national radio talk show on computers to air every weeknight. Computer America. Hosted by national columnist Craig Crossman. The first hour's behind us, but there's still more of tech news, tech talk, and your phone calls. We're being beamed nationwide at ComputerAmerica.com. You got computer problems? Bring them on. You're listening to Computer America. Computers run the world, and we run computers. Call us or send us an email to live@computeramerica.com.
Hello and welcome into Hour 2 of the nation's longest-running, nationally syndicated radio talk show on computers. This is the Computer America Show, and I'm your host,
Craig Crossman.
And I'm your co-host, Amazon Phone. Wait, no.
That's Charles Tendell, certified ethical hacker. And
Not Amazon Phone?
No, you're not an Amazon Phone. You're a certified ethical hacker.
Okay.
All right. And Charles and I are talking to Nate Evans, managing editor of Popzara magazine. And again, if you have any comments or suggestions on what we're talking about, or even what we might not be talking about, you have some comments, certainly would love to hear from you. 347-884-8881. 347-884-8881. Get you on and get you through. Email is live, L-I-V-E, at computeramerica.com. Also join us in our live chat room at computeramerica.com. Okay, so the easiest way is just call us 347-884-8881. Okay. So before we get this, I think we got an email. Someone sent to me. No, where was it here? No. Okay, no. We already talked about that, so never mind. So tell us about the. We have a couple of topics here. The YouTube paid music subscription. Is YouTube trying to compete now with iTunes? What's going on with this?
There's a lot of the stuff isn't officially announced yet, so no one really knows. But there's a little controversy, and it sort of ties into what we were talking about with Amazon and Hachette. Is that the controversy may be that is going to start Google, I should say, is going to start a paid music subscription, and Google's been in the business for a couple of years. They have Google Music. It was supposed to compete with iTunes and the like, and they just recently announced they put a streaming music service on, but YouTube would be yet another service. But the controversy comes in is that the thinking is that they may exclude videos from publishers and studios that don't want to join the service. And I guess there was a story today that sort of clarified it. Again, nothing's been announced, is that studios that aren't signed on to YouTube Music may not be excluded. So a lot of it's up in the air, but again, it's exactly like the Amazon thing with Hatchet, is that when Amazon is a company and it allows everyone to play, or if YouTube is a video company and it allows everyone to play, when they start to monetize the content, then things aren't quite as euphoric and as clandestine as we thought. For example, Craig, if you wanted to put Computer America on YouTube, they may find you. They may say, well, you're not allowed to be on there unless you agree to these new terms that allowed us to monetize your product. That might not have been there before. Now YouTube has been supporting themselves with ads, and they have their own Vivo music service. But there's a big difference between saying, well, I'm Columbia Records, I'm going to allow this video to go, and I don't care who listens to it because it's free promotion. Under this new arrangement, it's very possible that YouTube could say, well, we don't care if you're okay with it. We're going to remove your video because, well, you're not paying us. It's very different. And again, when Amazon, comparing it to Amazon, when Amazon was a bookseller, they made waves because everybody could contribute. A lot of publishers were upset because they don't always like what Amazon's policies are. But when you don't, there's a big difference between saying, well, we're going to allow you to sell your product, and then there's a big difference between them saying, you're going to sell your product the way we tell you to sell your product. And in the case of Amazon, it was Hatchet Books. Read about it, look at it, it's pretty disgusting. We don't know if YouTube's going to do the same thing, but it sounds like it's going to be similar. And people forget it's a business. It's there to make money. It's not the local library. It's there. There's going to be caveats with it, and this is not the utopia that people thought it was.
Money's ruined it.
Well, it's money finances it, sure, but this is what happens when people forget that YouTube is owned by Google and Amazon is owned by a multi-corporation. That at the end of the day, these people want to make more money. It's not about living in utopia. And going back to net neutrality, I don't know. You guys have covered net neutrality on the show before.
I don't know. Have we, Charles?
Nah.
It comes up.
Over it one day.
It comes up everywhere, but no one really knows what it is. And the more you research something like net neutrality, you realize that it's really misnamed. There's no such thing as net neutrality. Nobody uses net neutrality, not even now. Why should, if you have a pipeline like Netflix, which is streaming half the world's bandwidth, they're going to need a faster. They have to take advantage of peering systems and things that that allow for a better transfusion of data packets than email. It just requires a bigger pipeline.
Now wait. No. Finish your train of thought, and then I will interrupt you.
No, a lot of people use the analogy of highways and trucks and cars and trains. It's not necessarily true. For example, if you've ever dealt with a small ISP, you know what hosted server boxes on ISPs are, right? A big company like Comcast or even a small ISP, what they do is they retain these server boxes from companies like Netflix or Amazon, and what they do is they pre-cache a lot of content. So because what would happen is if you run a small ISP and you have 1,000 subscribers and everyone's using Netflix, you simply don't have the infrastructure to handle all that at one time. So these offshore boxes that are pre-cached with Orange is the New Black or House of Cards or whatever, they help offload the thing. And ISPs, they do what's called peer sharing. They allow, hey, can you handle the back end of this? A company like Netflix, I'm going to use Netflix for example. I love Netflix. I'm going to watch Netflix when we're off the show. And I have a season of Top Gear I need to finish. But when it comes to Netflix, Netflix is trying to operate their business like a cable company. Cable companies like AT&T and Comcast, and I'm not advocating for the devil, but they spent billions laying down infrastructure, cable, wiring, network capacity, all this stuff, so they could sell you, like Amazon, so they could sell you products TV, DVR, TiVo, and internet. Netflix comes along and piggybacks on that one. It's fantastic, but Netflix is such an overwhelming consumer of bandwidth, is that it disadvantages other bandwidth. And so should they have to pay more? Well, if they use more, sure, they should have to pay more. If it comes at the expense of other data, there's no such thing as a free lunch. I mean, for example, you're hosting a radio program. Your radio program has a lot of expenses into it, has a lot of expenses for distribution. If I go on YouTube, I'm not going to have that distribution model, or even if I start a podcast until I start paying for server space, all this stuff. You have to pay to get your message out. If I write the great American novel and leave it on my bookcase, no one's going to read it unless I spend the time and the money to go out and publish it, or to go out and do
now
this.
I'm going to interrupt you.
Okay.
I get where you're going. I get that you're saying that for an example of Netflix, it is more appropriate for them to pay more because they consume more. However, that's not what this was used for. Netflix was okay with paying more. They did it. They struck a deal and said, okay, we'll pay you more than this. Look at what happened between them and Verizon. Verizon started accusing them of being the ones who are causing network problems, who are doing it all bad, so on and so forth. When it has been shown, when it has been technologically shown that providers like Comcast, Verizon, AT&T, and Cox throttled Netflix down during peak hours, throttled them down, especially Comcast, while they were negotiating what Netflix was going to pay to play. Netflix didn't say, screw you, I'm not paying you. They said, we'll pay you, but you have to play fairly. Now that is what my issue is. I agree with you that if I'm going to be the one who's going to be sucking up the majority of everything, it's like renting. It's like having roommates, right? If I am the roommate in the house who's using the master bedroom, 2 other bedrooms, and most of the garage, I should pay more to utilize that number of resources, and it shouldn't be that me and the guy who's only got the shed in the backyard are paying the same amount. It shouldn't be that way. It has to be fair. Got it. But if you're going to charge me that amount and then all of a sudden the guy who's got the shed in the backyard has got his car parked in my garage, I'm no longer able to use it, or the garage gets locked and it gets filled up with other space to the point where I can only now park a Prius?
Yes. No, that's the other side. That's the other side. It's broken promises. Comcast, and for years, a lot of these companies have got away with offering quote unquote unlimited bandwidth, unlimited data, but they really don't do this, and you know that. And so it's what the problem with net neutrality is, where the way I see it, the way I think it's rational, is that on one hand, companies like Netflix that are speed traps, they should be regulated more to the point where they should pay more for data consumption. However, a company like Comcast or Time Warner, which I guess they're going to be the same company very soon, or any local ISP, they should provide the product. They should provide the product they advertise. The problem that I have, Charles, is federalizing the internet is the wrong way to do it.
Now that's my second issue, is that we're passing a legislation that will give these companies open-ended ability to do things, and they will run back to mommy and say, look, this guy didn't do what he said he was going to do. Fed, help me. Fed gets involved, and now Fed, who's controlling it, the people that we've heard who are so great, and they don't at all monitor your communications, or read your email, or intercept your phone calls. This is the U.S. government we're talking about.
Yes,
they love us.
Yes, exactly. The idea of having the FCC regulate the internet is the single worst idea since Chevy Chase had a TV show. It is. No, I love Chevy Chase, but he's not I'm kidding. No, but think about this. Go to a post office. Go to a DMV. Call Social Security. Do you want these people? These are the same people.
Running your internet.
Oh, best example. These are the same people who spent 10 years fighting Janet Jackson's nipple, and they're still fighting it.
Weird side note. We were in. I think we were either in Baghdad or had just left Iraq, or were in Kuwait. And I stepped outside. This is back when I was smoking. Stepped outside to smoke a cigarette at the exact moment that wardrobe malfunction occurred. I had been in the desert for a year and a half, and I missed Janet Jackson's nipple. I was like, really?
It's the butterfly effect. You stepped outside, and Janet Jackson's nipple boosomed out.
Yeah, it was horrible.
But here's the thing, though, about net neutrality. Again, you hit it, and here's the other thing. The people that are driving net neutrality are the people like Netflix, and God bless Netflix. I do love them, but they are trying to cheat their way out of paying more. They do not
Netflix
want
is?
to pay. Yeah, they do not want to pay for the usage they have, because why would
But
they?
they've already done it. They already entered in an agreement to pay Comcast. They didn't. Now, again, this all didn't become an issue. Like the quiet, like Netflix got into a battle with Comcast and agreed. They said, okay, we understand, we get your argument. Here's our check. Comcast, and you can look at the graphs, the line charts that are all over the internet. They're floating all over everywhere. That Comcast, when they started negotiating with Netflix, throttled them down next to nothing.
Well, of course they did.
Right. And then right after Netflix agreed to pay them, they brought them back up. We're like, okay, that's fine. Okay. But brought them back up to the same level that they were at before the negotiations started. They're paying to play and aren't getting anything more for what they're paying.
But that's Comcast.
Right. Verizon, Cox, and the rest of them, they're not doing that. They are all saying, you know what, we're going to throttle you down. We're going to change this all up because we've got other people on this network that we feel should have priority over your stream. Regardless of the fact that the people who are using this, the people that we're trying to prioritize for, are more than likely using your streaming service. This is a battle, and again, this is also the company who got, when in their inception, was like, you're gonna do what? Mail order DVDs, please? No one's gonna care about that.
Think about that for a second. Netflix spent millions of dollars paying for privileged status with the U.S. Postal Service. If you and I went downtown and mailed a DVD to each other, it cost $3. Netflix paid about 70 cents. You know, they pay the U.S. Postal Service to have a cheaper delivery system for their mail order DVDs. They didn't want to pay that, but they paid it because they could offer bulk. To me, that's no different. If they're going to use the U.S. Postal Service for their business, then they should, like any business, they should have an abbreviated system. If they go to Comcast and Time Warner, but the difference is that what Netflix does is compete with what Comcast is doing. Comcast is offering entertainment. Yes, Time Warner, all this stuff. It's like, imagine if your wife or your best friend said, "Hey, I'm going to have your competition live in the house, and you're going to pay for everything." You're going to feel threatened. You're going to.
I completely lost that whole train of thought there.
I was going to make an analogy, but it was way inappropriate, so I changed it from wife to friend. You know, but it's the idea is, if you're sitting there and your boss brings in someone who says, "Oh, teach him all your skills, teach him everything you know," you're going to get worried that you're going to be replaced. Can Comcast continue to sell you $200 a month cable when Netflix charges you $8 a month and you get everything?
No, but see, this is not the first time something like this has happened. You adapt and overcome. If you do not change and you do not go a different route with what you're doing, you will become obsolete. This is the same argument that people had when Walmart moved into small towns and closed businesses. They were like, "You closed business, I can't compete." I understand you can't compete. I apologize. Am I supposed to stop doing my business because you can't figure out a way to get bulk wholesale pricing? No. Netflix moves into an area that starts challenging Comcast, and Comcast, instead of doing what I would have done if I were the CEO of Comcast, going, "That's what we're going to do." Netflix wants to play a competing game. How about we take our on-demand services online and make them a la carte? If they had done that, if they had done that and been able to compete with Netflix, even if they competed with Netflix for $12 a month, they would have seen a jump in subscribers, and it would have exploded. People would have been like, "Whoa, I can get HBO, Cinemax, all those other wonderful stuff on demand anywhere I want to, just by paying this additional a month or this a month," instead of screwing with Netflix. So what they did was decide, you know what? I'm not going to change a model. I'm just going to prove that I am still the big boy on the block, and I still own your pathway to the internet. Here, Netflix, pay me, and you still can't get what it is that you want. You're still going to be seen as a lesser competitor, or not a competitor at all to me.
Well, look what happened. Look what happened with the TMC, especially during The Walking Dead and during Breaking Bad shows. They tried to negotiate a salary with DirecTV, and their channel was blocked. Imagine if you were a customer who subscribed because of that show and you weren't allowed to watch it. They broke your contract. You don't get a refund. You don't get a refund for this. And so I'm not necessarily on Netflix side. I'm not necessarily on Comcast side. I think the entire system is broken. I think.
Well, that reminds me, who was it that did that? Who was it that blocked the Walking Dead?
I think it was DirecTV. DirecTV,
Now,
one of the satellite companies.
Now, what was the what would you saw? You remember what AMC's response to that was, right?
They put the show online for free, so
Exactly.
everybody could watch it.
Exactly. And what happened? We saw AMC's streaming server collapse the first night it happened. Like, it collapsed. Like, people were like, "Oh, it sucks. I can't stream." Right? Now, they came back and said, "We apologize. We did not anticipate the number of people that were going to come on the server," and poke at healthcare.gov. But we have fixed the issue, and we will be making the streaming functionality better. They did it between shows. And when the next Sunday came around, their streaming service held up. Shouts out to Amazon, because that's exactly who they turned to. Then Comcast, or not Comcast, DirecTV teamed up with CenturyLink, now CenturyLink, to provide internet. They provided them regionally. And it came out that DirecTV was paying to have their streaming content prioritized over Netflix. So the Netflix streams began to suffer, or not Netflix, the AMC.com streams began to suffer. So that's when they put up, we've experienced this, and this is part of what kicked off this whole argument. They started showing, and it happened, it was only like 2 weeks that it was up there, there were speed tests on the website that were going along with the video. So, like, you could watch your speed drop off from the second that you started a stream to when the stream ended. It would just fall apart. And as soon as you paused or stopped that stream, your connection would come way back. And I was like, that should not be an option. That should not be something that these companies should be allowed to do.
Well, when you say allowed, though, but what's happening is that they're still figuring it out. Look what happened with cell phones. Look what happened with cell phones. 5 years ago, if you wanted a cell phone, it was $100 a month. You had 250 minutes. You had 500 megs of data.
Wait, you had 250 minutes for $100 a month?
It was when the smartphone market, it was 450, and now you get pretty much every single carrier does unlimited calling. They have unlimited data, or they're getting to that point for $50 a month.
Yeah.
It's once competition sets in and these companies are actually forced to compete. Like was it today or yesterday that T-Mobile announced? Did you hear about this? T-Mobile announced that if you stream music on a T-Mobile phone, it won't count against your data.
Yeah,
anymore.
I saw that.
And they're also going to let you go in there and rent an iPhone for a week for free to see if the service works for you. T-Mobile was forced to do this because their market share had dwindled. They were forced to be competitive and be crazy. And because they broke contracts, they were the first ones to do no contracts. Now AT&T and Verizon have no contract. Well, I don't know if Verizon does, but it's the way it's going. And right now, if you were to implement government regulation on this, it would do what it always does. It would stifle that creativity. It would create inequity like you wouldn't believe. Prices would rise, and the services wouldn't get any better. In fact, the one thing that would happen immediately, day one, was there'd be a regulatory board. And the government already has these systems, but in order to regulate fairness, they'd have to keep track of your data in the open. And who wants that? Who wants that? But but these people who do net neutrality, they think Netflix or Comcast is the good guy, the bad guy. They're all bad guys. They all want your money, and they're willing to make you suffer to get it. The question is, compete, have alternative programs, have alternative services, let it figure itself out. The internet's still pretty new. This is pretty new. We're going from watching CNN to watching 1,000 different cable stations online. There's so much competition out there, and I don't want the government propping up old systems like Comcast or propping up old media simply because they refuse to evolve. Think about this. 10 years ago, when Netflix came out, who was the guy with Blockbuster? They laughed Netflix off. Oh, we won't have to compete with that. We won't have to compete with that. Blockbuster's gone. And what people don't remember is that in the 80s, people laughed at the Blockbuster guy. Oh, that'll never work. Because you get to be a certain point, you forget how to innovate, you become comfortable, and that's what a good business does. A good business sees what's happening and they adjust to it. They adjust and they flow. And again, I'm willing to see this play out, but I don't think net neutrality is the way to go because it's anything but neutral. It's very much in the best interest of established media. And I don't know. I think I cross my fingers that they make the right decision, but I don't think it's going to happen.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we've duked that one out, I think.
Ding, ding, ding.
Exactly. You're listening to the Computer America Show on the Boost Radio Network and the Blog Talk Radio Network and the IRN Radio Network. We are talking to Nathan Evans and on a variety of topics. Hopefully you're finding them interesting. And again, if you have any questions or comments, give us a call at 347-884-8881. So let's move on to the Supreme Court ruled that software patents can't cover abstract ideas. Now, you know, you couldn't necessarily patent any abstract idea, whether you're in this software arena or what. So, what makes this stand out?
Well, what makes it stand out is the fact that for the first time we have a ruling that the Supreme Court decided unanimously, by the way, and they never do anything unanimously, and the decision was written by Clarence Thomas, who never speaks, but he writes. But basically there was I think it was called Alice Corporation versus CSL Bank International, and the lawsuit basically stated that, I believe it was Alice said they owned these patents that computerized a process for escrow payments. And what had happened was this might sound a little complex, but it's actually pretty simple. They're basically saying is that the company that owns the computer variables that allow the same action that would have taken a secretary or an accountant, you can't patent those simply because a computer does it for you. For example, am I going to let me patent the yellow notepad that lawyers use? Okay, I own the patent. I think 3M owns that, by the way, or some company. So I'm going to go ahead and make a digital version, and I'm going to patent the digital version because it's digital, therefore it must be different. And what this lawsuit basically said is that duplicating actions of a pre-existing patent does not entitle it to new patent status. And it's shop talk, but what they're saying this portends is that a lot of these systems that these patent trolls do, they come up with ideas, they buy patent. They typically don't really come up with anything, Craig. They buy them. They gather, a company will come and they'll buy all these archaic patents that do little systems that round edges or this, and then they'll sort of wait like that insect that waits for ants. I forget what it's called, anteater maybe. But my brain is not working today. It's not patented. But no, and they'll wait in lieu and for the company to become successful. And once the company becomes sufficiently successful, they will come in and assert their patent status. And they'll usually go into negotiation and say, "Give me your money or we'll sue you." And this almost entirely happens in Texas, by the way. Yeah, I think you always hear Judge Coe, this one judge that is involved in so many of these. But frankly, the Supreme Court getting into the action sets a precedent that this sort of some people call it frivolous lawsuit will be a lot harder to fight in court. It's interesting. It's very interesting because everything is going digital now, and this sort of thing may or may not have prevented the Apple versus Samsung patents. It's can you patent an idea? Can you patent an idea simply because a computer does it? The Supreme Court says no. So we'll see how this changes things.
Okay. I'm just trying to think of a way that how this would, as you say, this is a little bit more esoteric. It's just not something that affects.
Well, it does affect you in a little bit. I don't know if anybody listens to Adam Carolla. Adam Carolla has a very popular podcast.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And he is engaging in a fight with a patent troll over the patent for a podcast. For example, if Computer America were to suddenly get 300 million listeners, and you had so much money, you could buy 100 watches, and you could wear a crown, and you could be King Craig, then people would come after you because you'd be making money using a patent that you don't own. This I forget the name of the company that this patent troll attacks, but they've already gone after Apple, and Apple licenses the patent on their podcast thing. you guys have a radio show. The radio show is broadcast on terrestrial radio, but it's also distributed through iTunes. It's distributed through Stitcher and all this. And therefore, you're using a patent that somebody else owns. And right now, it's relatively benign because you're not making $400 million a year. But if you were, you can bet this patent troll would be after you. And I don't know if this Supreme Court ruling affects this particular thing, but it certainly leads the way to saying that, you know, what type of patents constitute a new software idea, what they don't. I don't necessarily know if it does, but it's certainly that it's certainly interesting that most of these patent lawsuits in the last 10 years, almost all of them, are about computer technology and not necessarily about wheelbarrows and levers anymore. So you never know. You never know. And
well, that's where all the innovation is coming from. You know, it's not from the wheelbarrow.
Well, so this is the problem, though. Is it necessarily innovation, or is it just someone who happened to run across an opportunity? Like we always like to bash on Apple that they're going out and they're just filing these arbitrary patents and people are infringing on their patents and so on and so forth. Yada yada yada. The Patent and Trademark Office is horrible because they're backlogged for forever, and you can put patent pending on anything as long as you filed for a patent. Like, I don't even have to prove anything. I don't, and I don't like. And it's always been this way. And the patent and Trademark Commission, the laws are so archaic that honestly, all I have to do is say, you know what? I've got an idea for a cotton candy spinning bicycle bear toy thing, and put that down for a request. And then anybody who comes out with a cotton candy spinning bear toy thing, they're now potentially infringing upon my patent, and I can sue you for it. I don't even have to design it.
Nope.
I don't have to build it. All I have to do is make it a concept.
You have to describe it in vague terms, and you have to put up a doodle of what it may look like. Like, I actually wrote a patent for a friend. We never followed through it, but I've actually written several patent drafts that we've had to do it. And I got to tell you something. Writing a patent is not fun. It is the least fun I've ever had in my life, but it's very vague.
Well, I'm going to be a little vague too because we have to take a break. And I have no idea what that just meant. But this is the Computer America Show. Nathan Evans, managing editor of Popzara magazine, is here with us. Charles Tindell and I are talking to him about a variety of topics. We will be right back right after this. You're listening to Computer America.
This is a special alert to all Americans who own a vehicle with less than 120,000 miles with an auto warranty about to expire or no warranty coverage at all. Due to a decline in the economy and major car companies filing for bankruptcy, Cover America Auto Care has announced revolutionary, inexpensive mechanical breakdown coverage that is now available to the general public to save consumers thousands on auto repairs. An open phone line has been established for drivers to call who own a vehicle that is less than 10 years old for a free 5-minute quote and to see if you qualify. The number is 800-483-2514. Drivers who are covered with this auto protection will not have to pay for a covered repair again. This is the auto coverage now sweeping across America at a fraction of what dealerships charge and is now available to the public by calling today. The number to call is 800-483-2514. 800-483-2514. That's 800-483-2514.
Don't complain about your cable bill going up and up and up. Do something about it. Grab a pencil and jot down this special number, 1-866-663-MY-TV. The more cable TV rates go up, the better digital satellite TV looks. So, disable the cable and get more of your favorite channels in 100% digital quality for less money. Call 1-866-663-MY-TV right now to sign up for packages starting as low as $19.99 and up to 4 rooms. And there's no equipment to buy. That includes your free HD TV upgrade, your free DVR upgrade, and your free professional installation. And the best part, the pristine digital picture and sound. Call 1-866-663-MY-TV. So, what are you waiting for? Pull out your major credit or debit card. Call 1-866-663-MY-TV. 1-866-663-MY-TV. Disable the cable, cut costs, and get more. Call 1-866-663-MY-TV. 1-866-663-MY-TV.
Hello, this is Marty Winston for Computer America with a News Tips Bulletin Review. of Microsoft Office 365. That's the subscription offering of Office, meaning, among other things, annuity revenues for Microsoft. It seems like a good fit for people with more than one PC or Mac, especially if they're not uncomfortable using cloud services to share documents and files across those machines or with others. It also offers on-demand web apps that can work on computers that don't have Office installed. We agreed to review it when we learned of Office Mobile for Android, in hopes that when we're away, we could use our Android tablet for writing and so on, but no such luck. Office Mobile for Android works on handsets only, no tablets, to access, view, create, or edit Word, Excel, or PowerPoint files. Tasks that might have been palatable on a tablet prove tedious on a handset, but that's also true of third-party Office workalikes. So bottom line, Office 365 provides alternatives that many users will find compelling. This is Marty Winston at the News Tips Bulletin for Computer America.
And thank you for that, Marty, and welcome back to the second hour of the Computer America Show. We are 33 minutes in. Man, why can't my tongue work tonight? I think it's Nate. I blame Nate.
That was the McDonald's from last night.
Oh dear God. So there are some things that I like, okay, that I want to talk about on the show. Otherworld Computing, MacSales.com, ProXPN, Craig's okay. Nate, he's good, but there's one thing that if you're out there listening, and I am sorry, Craig, if this kills your future sponsorship slot.
No!
Yeah. Screw McDonald's, okay? Just do not. If you want an example as to why McDonald's is not good for you at all, okay? Stop eating it for as long as you can, a couple of months at best, right? Then go back and eat it and tell me how your stomach feels. I ate McDonald's for the first time last night after almost double quarter pounder with cheese.
I usually go have a Big Mac when I go there.
You got one on the table behind you.
Yeah, no, that's a quarter.
Oh, okay, but I had one for the first time in a long time, and my stomach I almost didn't make the show back. I missed intros. It was just like the porcelain gods were accepting my prayers yesterday, and I came back, and I was telling Craig that if I were his complexion, I would have been green. It was bad. Just avoid McDonald's altogether.
Maybe he's got a bad burger. Do you ever think that might have happened?
Do we want to take the chance here? Go eat McDonald's, Craig.
I've had a Big Mac just not too long ago.
Oh man, isn't the one that you had last time still sitting on the table behind you?
No, that's not a Big Mac. What about KFC and all the other places? You don't like fast food restaurants? Yeah.
Well, actually, we don't do much fast food. We still eat Taco Bell every once in a great while. We eat Arby's. That's still kind of good.
Delicious.
And Chick-fil-A. I think those are the only ones that we eat fast food with. Well, wait.
When you go to
Subway and Freddy's.
Yeah, we just had Subway today, as a matter of fact.
Subway is tasty.
Never been to Freddy's. I don't know what that is.
Freddy's, I think it's a local thing here. It's an old style burger joint where they take burgers and then they take like steakums and chop it up. But it's very tasty, and they have real fries. Now, if we had a Five Guys nearby, I'd be all over that like a fat kid on a cupcake. That is delicious.
We have something called Bud's Chicken in Florida, which is just delicious. But,
Bud's Chicken?
Bud's Chicken, yeah, it's great.
Yo, Bud, you should go make a chicken restaurant.
And we also have, Jersey Mike's is everywhere. I like Jersey Mike's.
Charles, you know those Shaolin monks that train for years to get hit in the crotch and to feel no pain? That's McDonald's. You got to build up a tolerance to it. Otherwise, it's going to knock you out.
Well, kick me in the Jimmy. Woo!
He had tolerance, but evidently he hadn't eaten there for so long that the tolerance wore off.
You are like Blockbuster Video against Netflix. You went off the wagon and you came back and you couldn't handle it.
Exactly. I was like, I'm staying off that wagon. Very, very, very far off that wagon.
You have a Jersey Mike's where you are? That's national.
Oh yeah, we have Jersey Mike's.
Okay. My son Aaron lives in South Carolina. The street that he is on has every single imaginable fast food restaurant that I've ever seen on one street. It's got everything that you can think of is there.
How wide are the sidewalks?
Not very wide. It's a big avenue, though, and they've got things that that you wouldn't even think of normally have. But he's got everything there. It's just amazing. I've never seen anything like it. So anyway, so getting back to what we're the show, we got a couple of topics here that you suggested that you wanted to talk about. I don't know if you're a big fan of Bill Nye the Science Guy, Charles.
Bill Nye the Science Guy. Bill Nye the Science Guy.
He's aiming to return with this Reading Rainbow. What is this about?
Dude, Netflix is taking over Reading Rainbow.
Well, you remember a couple weeks ago, LeVar Burton, a.k.a. Kunta Kinte, a.k.a. Geordie LaForge, he kickstarted Return to Reading Rainbow, and I think there was a little controversy because people didn't realize they were kickstarting. It wasn't coming back on PBS; it was a paid service, and but he was very successful, and now I think people are trying to get Bill Nye to come back, and he's going to be having meetings to return his show. Bill, he's been in the news a lot lately, and in my opinion, for all the wrong reasons. They, I don't know if you've followed any Bill.
Crazy ex-wife, Dancing with the Stars, more crazy ex-wife.
I was gonna say, oh, what's the word? I can't say it on the air, but it rhymes with hashtag and it starts with D. He's been making a lot of he's been making a lot of appearances in support of evolution and climate change. And regardless of how you feel about them, he's a scientist. And the problem about Bill is that he's a mechanical engineer, and he got his start at Boeing years ago. And everyone knows he had the really fun show back in the 90s. Him and Beekman's World. It was sort of an ADD version of Mr. Wizard. But Bill Nye, he's been back lately, and people are taking him seriously. The problem is that when he goes on, he had that very popular online debate. Did you see that with the leader of the creationist movement, some guy from Australia, at the Creationist Museum in Kentucky?
Whoa.
And it was seen by millions. It was huge. It was one of the biggest events YouTube's ever had. It was live. People could watch Bill Nye debate this creationist, and it was fascinating. And the problem I have with Bill. The biggest problem I have, anybody who follows me on Twitter, they know I'm not too fond of Mr. Nye, the science guy. A scientist is supposed to be open-minded and is supposed to always be ready to go back and test their methods. And what Bill has done with evolution, which I believe in, by the way, and climate change, which I subscribe to most of, he's using very unscientific methods to sort of prove his ideas, and a lot of that is an arrogance to shout down anyone who doesn't agree with him. And I don't want to get into climate change, or we just survived net neutrality. Let's jump into another easy topic. But with climate change, is that I want to stress when Bill says 99% or 80% of scientists believe in climate change, I have no problem accepting that as fact, but what percentage of those scientists are actually qualified climatologists and not mechanical engineer? And you say to yourself, well, a scientist is a scientist. No. If you had heart problems, you wouldn't go see an ENT. You wouldn't see an ophthalmologist to replace your lung. You would go see a specialist who understands the minutia and the data. And Bill is not a climatologist. He's not even remotely qualified. Whenever I have a problem, Craig, is that when people mock other people because they don't agree with you, and the word they've been banding around, including Bill, is the science is settled, and that's not true. There's never a case when science is settled. That's what science is. Science is never settled. It's always ongoing. It's the first thing they teach you. The scientific method is that you hypothesize, test, repeat. Hypothesize, test, repeat. I saw a story on the media the other day where now they're questioning gravity. That gravity may have changed. And gravity itself is relative. So do I want a children's scientist calling me names and because I don't believe everything he says? No, not really. So
are you saying gravity's changing, that I might not weigh as much as I did last week or something.
Well, I know that if
figured
you're
that.
well, not if you eat McDonald's all the time. Gravity will have a very different effect. But
It'll have a positive effect.
well, no, I mean it's you know what I mean. It's I mean who knows? I mean we're human beings. We shouldn't be so arrogant to think that we know everything. And
No.
most of the world are not scientists. There's 7 billion people on this planet, and out of those 7 billion people, less than 1% are qualified to judge how the world works. And I just don't think it's healthy for anybody to say, we figured it out, let's stop thinking about it, especially when it becomes politicized, like climate change. And so if Bill Nye wants to get on TV every day and act like he's been acting, then no. I'd rather watch the test symbol on UHF.
Just with something good, sit back and relax and watch the test symbol.
Well, you know what I mean. I don't think it's a healthy skepticism is okay, but I don't think teaching kids to be arrogant and religious about towards science, and especially say, well, science is one thing, but to say, well, this is accepted science, so you can't believe any other science. I don't think that's a good lesson to be passing on to kids.
Well, you know what, Nate? You know what? When I was in school, Pluto was a planet, damn it.
Exactly.
And science keeps changing.
Science keeps changing.
And Neil Tyson deGrasse basically blew that out of the water. He said Pluto's not a planet.
It's not a planet now, but it was a planet 10 years ago when they thought it was.
Yeah, I know.
Their mechanics change. So who knows what's not going to be a planet? You better say goodbye to Jupiter.
Yeah.
You never know.
Well, by the way, funny you should mention that, Charles, because on Monday we're not going to have Neil deGrasse Tyson. We actually tried to get him on the show, but he was not available. But we do have one of his colleagues from the Hayden Planetarium in New York is going to be here with us, Brian Abbott, who is assistant director of the Hayden Planetarium of the American Museum of Natural History, is going to be with us talking about the digital universe, and it's kind of interesting. So he's going to be our guest on Monday. Just FYI, I thought you might like to know.
Cool.
Some of the things coming up also on the show later on in next month too. We're going to be talking about. We're going to have D-Wave Systems. D-Wave Systems. They're the first company that's actually produced a quantum computer. That's right, quantum computing. And they're going to talk about quantum computing and how it works. They're going to be with us next month. Actually, going to be on the show right after Nate. Nate's going to be on with us on the 26th. The next generation, the next quantum leap, if you will, in computers. So
did anybody else's Hangout just lose it?
Yeah.
What happened?
Google error.
It was like, what just happened here? It just went away.
No. Yeah. We just had a glitch.
We love Google. Google is fantastic. They do no wrong.
Google, we love you.
They're listening to us.
We're not worthy.
Well, okay. I just lost my lower third too. What happened there?
It'll come back. Mine came back automatically. You probably don't have it set to auto load.
How do I know? I need to do. How do I get this set to auto load?
I forget where it was. I don't know where the setting is, honestly. I think I just leave custom overlay on all the time, and it automatically loads that last preset.
Auto load last used lower. Okay, I'm gonna.
There you go.
Okay, now I've got it. So now I won't lose it next time. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Okay. So basically, where do we stand now? What do we? We're doing all these different topics tonight. So all right. So we pretty much finished with Bill Nye, right? And hopefully. You also mentioned Chelsea Handler is signed with Netflix for the first streaming-only talk show.
Yes, that's.
You like Chelsea Handler?
I've never watched her. I know she's very popular in her community. She sells a lot of books, and she's a provocateur. But there was rumors, if you remember the late night shuffle they had about a month ago or a month or two ago, where it was announced that David Letterman was going to retire and he was going to be replaced by Colbert, and therefore that set off a chain reaction. That you had before that you had Jimmy Fallon replace Jay Leno, who was before replaced by Conan O'Brien, but then you had in succession you had Fallon replaced Leno, you had Colbert slated to replace Letterman, and then you have Craig Ferguson, who was supposed to replace Leno leaving, and
Right.
all eyes were who's going to replace. They thought Chelsea Handler was going to accept one of these roles and become the first female late night host, and that didn't happen. And Netflix has been trying to expand their repertoire. If a lot of people think they're just TV shows like House of Cards or Orange is the New Black, but they've had stand-up comedy, they've had documentaries, and now they're going to get in the late night business. And they announced it's coming in about 2 years. We don't know how it's going to be. How can a streaming service, who people usually watch a late night show? And right now, it's going to be interesting to see how they enter the format.
What do you think? I mean, for example, I've been watching Orange is the New Black because Charles suggested that I watch it.
Oh wow, you're still watching it?
Yeah, so I'm thinking episode 9 now. I've sort of been struggling to get through as much as and again, I still have mixed reactions with it. Maybe I think we'll switch to House of Cards and watch that for a while.
Well, Orange is the New Black. You don't seem like the racy, sexually explicit television watcher. I can't see Craig watching a woman's prison show.
I watched Oz. I watched Oz.
Oz was just a prison show. This is like there wasn't there. Seriously, Netflix, way to go, home run with Orange is the New Black. You seriously, between it and House of Cards, you capitalized the market. You did good. Rock on, Netflix. Keep doing what you're doing. But Orange is the New Black is just shy of softcore porn. Just shy. It's and I can't see Craig doing that. But I do think if you have watched House of Cards, if you're not hooked on House of Cards by 30 seconds into the first episode, you should probably turn it off.
In 30 seconds in the first episode, he kills a dog.
Yes, that's what I'm
Breaks
saying.
His neck.
No, he doesn't break its neck. He strangles it.
He strangles it. Oh, we don't really see, but
Yeah, he either strangles it or smothers it, one of the two. But he kills the dog because the dog got hit by a car, and he was like, there are two kinds of pain. There's pain that makes you stronger, and there's useless pain. I have I don't know what he said. He's like, I don't like useless pain, and I have no use for useless things. And he puts the dog out of its misery and goes on. Yeah,
that's horrible.
He goes on to put lots of people out of their misery.
Yeah, a lot, including the president.
Yeah, it's a great show.
Craig hasn't seen it. Stop.
Spoiler alert.
No, but what season of Orange is the New Black are you watching, Craig? The first or the second?
I'm watching the first. I mean, I'm into the 8 episodes right now.
Have you watched the second season, Charles?
Oh yes, I watched it all.
Yeah, I finished it too, and apparently I'm the wrong gender and sexual identity to like the show, but I actually like the show quite a bit.
The show's great.
I actually think the second season's better than the first. I think the storytelling gets better.
My only issue with the second season is it pisses me off how it opens. Like first of all, we all knew Alex was I can't say it on the air, but we all know Alex was not a good person. But then the things that happen in it is like you wonder. Is not Alex, is Piper pulling strings. You see Piper develop into what turns into like this prison mob boss. Like, whoa. And you just see her character develop in ways that you would never think that this preppy, prissy, hoity-toity naive female would develop into, and she does it. It's not like she drives toward that direction. It's the circumstances she finds herself in that she adapts to, and it's very good, and it's very well played by Netflix. And I do agree. I do think it was one of the best things they've done.
What's great about the second season is that it focuses so much on the other characters. Because Piper is not the most interesting character in that show. If you really think about it, she's the prototype. She's the white, entitled blonde girl that we're all supposed to identify with, but it turns out, like you said, her change has been so dramatic. How can you identify with that? For me, I like Crazy Eyes, but my favorite character is Red.
Yeah,
Red.
I like Red because of her background, but Crazy Eyes, the actress that plays Crazy Eyes, right? Tell me that I've got to go. I have totally got to how you say. I've got to find other things that she's in because that character's dynamic You know, that is just amazing. And like at the end, like it also brings an interesting point. The people who are incarcerated for something, for one thing or another, like we still don't know what she did, do we?
Yeah, she was a drug mule.
Oh, was she?
Yeah, Piper. You're talking about Piper, right?
Not Piper. No. We're talking about Crazy Eyes.
Oh.
No. Yeah, we still don't know what she did to get in there. But it just goes to show that she's very easily manipulated, and she was probably likely on the outside used as a fall guy,
Mm-hmm.
right? And it brings to light that type of incarceration. How many people are incarcerated right now that mentally should not have been? Like my little brother has had in and out bouts with jail because one, he got picked up on an identity theft charge, but the identity theft, he got picked up and they assumed that he was the one that stole his own identity.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a fun lawsuit that might like literally like if me, my brother, or my brother, the Tyndall name shows up in a search, they are probably instructed now to just leave us alone. Okay, my mom came really close to owning the city of Denver. She, and it was just an entertaining suit that she did there. But
Well,
he has mental issues, but he ends up in the wrong place with the wrong crowd because they manipulate him. And he really doesn't understand what he's doing, and there are people like that who are incarcerated, and it just brings that to light with characters like Crazy Eyes.
Charles,
it's,
I just need to ask you, Charles, do you have your camera turned on? Because when you speak, I see you, but I'm not seeing your image, and it's been doing like that now for about 15 minutes. So just
My camera's on.
Yeah, all right.
At least it was on.
I think Google is messing up too.
I think it is. Yeah. So,
Oh no, my camera is not on.
Yeah.
What just happened here?
You're a glowing circle.
Yeah, you're a glowing circle. Yeah.
I know. I'm a glowing beacon of hope.
But
Weird.
Charles, that type of storytelling, I mean, goes back to like, the beginning with like, Les Miserables. The character Jean Valjean, he commits a small crime, and then it's not the crime, but it's all the stuff that happens because of the crime.
Yeah.
You become part of the system, and once you become part of the system, it's really hard to take yourself out of it.
Yeah.
See, I think that's what you need to do is you need to go into a woman's prison, and you need to form complex relationships with characters like Crazy Eyes and Red and that devilish woman, that V character in second season. She was despicable.
Okay,
Oh my.
your camera's working again.
Yeah, I did. Now the she was just the manipulative snake that again we can't really talk about this one. So Craig,
Yes.
cover your ears and hum.
No spoilers, but
Well, what happens to V in the end? Does it?
she gets what's coming towards her
Yeah, there we
and
go.
at her.
Yeah, I think that's what it
It was
was.
a great finale. I loved the last episode. I thought it was fantastic.
Of
Yeah.
season 2? Okay.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Well, I've got a long way to go before I get there. If I'm going to even stick with it, I don't know.
I don't know if Craig's gonna stick with it.
You know,
But
there
I
are
want to
some-
recommend. What's that?
I said there's some other shows that I should do. I mean, was it Cinemax? I watched Banshee. That's really good. That's kind of strange and twisted, but I enjoy it. Have you ever watched Banshee?
No.
Nope.
All right, you should watch that. Okay, that's good. So there, I mean, I like some of the cutting edge. Of course, True Blood. They're in the last season, but I've watched True Bloods from the very first episode. I mean, I do like them. My taste may not be as prudish as you may think, but there are just some things that I just don't find I find interesting. Let alone watching a whole series of shows about. But,
If you want a show with a little bit less lesbian prison sex and then I would recommend the Netflix show Derek, which is probably the sweetest TV show I've ever watched in my life, and I mean that. I don't know if you've seen it or the ads for it, that Ricky Gervais show.
oh yeah, okay.
Everybody got this show wrong. Everybody thought it was going to be exploitive. It was going to be like the typical Ricky Gervais thing where he's making fun, but it's not. It's exactly it might be too saccharine for people, but I like it.
I've seen 2 Ricky Gervais movies, which I really enjoyed. Was the first one where it was at the planet where no one could lie? That I thought was very good. I mean, you had to tell the truth. I mean, the concept of lying was completely alien to
The
them.
pen is blue.
No, it's not. Did you ever see that movie? I'm trying to think
Yeah.
of the name. Yeah,
The
what's
Invention of Lying.
Invention of Lying. Yeah, exactly. Have you seen that, Charles?
Nope.
You should,
I've heard about it, but I've.
you should see it. The Eventual, and then the other one where he plays this dentist who can see dead people. What was it?
That's the one where he has the colonoscopy and he dies, and he comes back to life. And
Yeah, he dies from, and then he can see dead people, and they start following around because they realize that he can see them, and they want him to give that messages to their loved ones, and he's very calloused and very self-centered, and So anyway, wow, we're out of time.
Your fault. Like I hear Craig's clock.
I always had that's about 2 minutes early to kind of give me a heads up, but we are out of time pretty much. What's happening with Popzara? I understand you're redefining the website.
yes, it's coming along. It's almost ready, and I've been having wonderful conversations with the new staff.
Yeah, Grayson Hamilton.
Grayson's near the top. We had a nice conversation yesterday about some exciting new stuff. He's a really good kid, and I expect great things from him.
Yeah, he is. He's an excellent correspondent and very well spoken, and we certainly enjoy having him in when we do our Gamer Tuesday. So I'm glad that we were able to get you two connected. But stay with us.
You were kind of a matchmaker in that
Second.
Yeah, stay with us. What did you say, Charles? I didn't hear that.
You're a matchmaker in that sense because remember, I brought David Wilson onto the show, and he's now working with me.
All right, great. Tomorrow, DOS Owls is going to be here in the first hour talking about their new Odin Pocket Projector. This is a very, very cool device, and we're going to be talking about them. And they actually have a successful Kickstarter campaign, and
60 seconds.
this little projector that you can carry around almost in your pocket. It's an amazing device. And of course, in hour 2, we're going to have computer and technology news brought to you by Slimware Utilities, the official optimization software of Computer America. So that about wraps it up for tonight. And it's going to be Friday night, of course, so we'll probably be all over the road there as well. Again, thanks, Nate, for being with us here. And we'll see you next month. So that about wraps it up, and we will see you again tomorrow night with DOS Owls. Oh, also, it's our last night for our Logitech contest. So get your entry in now because we're going to close it out at midnight tomorrow night. So we'll see you tomorrow night. And so until then, this is Craig Crossman, hoping that your hard disk never becomes
10 seconds.
floppy.
Never becomes 10 seconds.
We'll see you tomorrow night.
Thank you for using Blog Talk Radio. Goodbye.
Okay, so we are out for the show. Of course, we have our Hangouts. We're still our little behind-the-scene thing that we do. And thank you all for watching that. I'm going to say goodnight to everybody in the chat room. See you tomorrow. And then let's see. I'll say goodnight there. And again, thanks for being with us here tonight. And thanks, Nate, for
No problem.
really interesting stuff. And we'll see you next month. Right?
Cool. Just send me the date.
Yeah, well, I think we already have. You got
Tomorrow? That works.
No.
You never know.
No, the 22nd.
Come in on Saturday and Sunday.
No, we got you down for the 22nd. That's Tuesday, 22nd of July. That's when you're next set up to go.
Got it.
All right, everybody. So thanks for watching, and we will see you tomorrow night. Say good night, Charles.
Good night, Charles.
All right.